This is definitely not helping the Democrats knowing what we now have confirmed about Biden.
Give me some volume and go full screen.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country. Yeah. We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto pen.
While Obama was busy racking up awards just for showing up, Megyn Kelly wasn't having any of it. She stormed in with her trademark tone, equal parts sharp anchor, relentless prosecutor, and fed-up mom who just caught her kid forgetting homework for the third time this week. She unpacked the Obama legacy like a walk-in closet full of designer suits that somehow stayed fashionable despite collecting years of dust. Her prime target? That glistening mirage of Obama as the flawless oracle of hope, change, and celestial wisdom. Spoiler alert, Megyn shredded that illusion like a TSA agent spotting an unmarked bottle in your carry-on. Quick, cold, and no apologies.
Can I get a glass of water? I'm serious. I'm thirsty. Can I get a glass of water? This is not a prank. You never seen it?
No.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Oh,
it's amazing.
no.
He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this.
Problem
He's
is solved?
bullshitting the world. Watch this.
Can I get some water? I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say that.
Speaking of Barack Obama, he decided to drop a post on X today, and I thought, okay, maybe in the wake of the Pete Hegseth presser, he's going to say something like, no matter how you feel about the Iranian strike, hats off to our, boys in blue, our guys in the bombers. He went a different way. This is what it was.
Curious how you're thinking about this eulogy specifically in the moment and all the tensions that you just brought out.
I didn't even want to talk. I was so mad. Part of the reason I think I ended up having anything to say.
Barack Obama's polished persona just hit a brick wall, and Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly were driving the truck. With no filters and all fire, they sliced through the curated myth like a hot knife through campaign slogans. The contradictions? Laid bare. The legacy? Stripped down to its theatrical bones. No teleprompter, no applause line, just brutal honesty, wrapped in razor-sharp humor. If you believe charm alone could keep the criticism at bay, this takedown shows the spotlight isn't flattering anymore. It's scorching right through the script.
Do you remember when they gave that speech, when he gave a speech on television, and everybody was like, this? Mm-hmm. And then they were, it kind of just went away.
It was one of the most beautiful moments in modern American history. People really actually stood up and stopped.
We'll be remiss if we do not do at least one clip from the Barack Michelle Obama appearance, the podcast, because everybody thinks they're getting a divorce. And let's face it, they probably are. She dragged him onto her show with brother Craig.
Barack Obama could monologue about brushing his teeth and still make it sound like he's curing cancer from a mountaintop. All while radiating that patented aura of smug enlightenment. As he coasts on a breeze powered by Netflix contracts and recycled nostalgia, Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly came through like a pair of verbal snipers, popping that ego balloon with blades sharper than Michelle's biceps. This wasn't a gentle critique. It was a full-blown rhetorical wrecking ball. No room for woke pleasantries, no glow from the old Obama halo. Just scorched earth honesty.
For their children.
And in fact, a lot of what they campaigned on, they don't practice at all. Great example is the Obama administration. The Hope and Change website had to be changed because there was a bunch of stuff in there about whistleblowers.
I don't think Mr. Snowden was a patriot. I called for a thorough review of our surveillance operations before Mr. Snowden made these leaks. My preference would have been for a lawful, orderly examination of these laws.
Protecting whistleblowers, which they didn't do at all. It was one of the worst administrations for whistleblowers.
Let's start with Joe Rogan, the man who's picked the brains of neuroscientists, traded jabs with MMA fighters, cracked jokes with stand-ups, pondered the cosmos with astronauts, and yes, even chatted with raw liver enthusiasts. And yet, even he couldn't resist tearing into the polished fairy tale that is the Obama mythology. You'd assume a former president would be above Rogan's radar, but when your post-presidency looks more like a celebrity cash tour wrapped in recycled hope and change jingles, you're wide open. Rogan locked in on the absurdity of a guy who once claimed to understand the American people, then vanished into a lifestyle of security gates, champagne flights, and Vogue photo shoots that treat Michelle like she's about to inherit the crown from Beyoncé.
We're on a great subject, which is like these rich and powerful people who are totally unaware of how people perceive them and how great their lives are and how little they should be complaining, period, never mind publicly, which leads me to Michelle Obama. Every day she's dropped another negativity bomb on us, whether on her podcast or on someone else's. I mean, this audience knows she never says anything positive. It is all complaints. So she goes on another podcast. She's promoting her show, so she's making the rounds. The Diary of a CEO podcast.
That Peace Prize aged about as well as a Blockbuster membership card. Megyn tore into Obama's surveillance state like she was personally auditing the NSA. Remember when his administration supercharged domestic spying while he smiled for the cameras like he was hosting Reading Rainbow? Yeah, Megyn remembered. And she didn't come armed with vibes and nostalgia. She came with receipts and declassified memos. Turns out, hope and change sometimes comes bundled with metadata mining and drone warfare. Rogan grabbed that baton and sprinted headfirst into Obama's media makeover. The glossy interviews, the slick documentaries, the warm and fuzzy narration that plays like he's angling for an Emmy just for existing. And Rogan wasn't fooled for a second. He mocked the softball interviews with late-night hosts like they were t-ball games for billionaires, staged, scripted, and utterly spineless.
Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died. When
was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's a man. Like, remember that?
Yeah, like, would Big Mike kill you for that?
Rogan took that hypocrisy and fed it straight into the meat grinder. Because nothing screams man of the people like turning your post-White House life into a non-stop luxury tour, interrupted only by million-dollar podcast appearances and book deals that read like sponsored content. And Rogan didn't just critique the optics. He tore them down like one of those flashy home gyms that look great on Instagram, until you realize the dumbbells are plastic. The Obamas didn't retire from politics. They rebranded into a lifestyle empire. And Rogan called it out like a wellness guru, promising lavender oil and push-ups as a cure for existential dread. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly came for Obama's foreign policy record like it was a group project he half-assed but still wanted credit for. She brought up the Nobel Peace Prize with the delivery of a roast master, because when you get handed that award before doing anything remotely peaceful, it's less of a legacy badge and more of a participation trophy for simply not being George W. Bush.
People like, maybe it's the old sperm, maybe it's not the vaccine that's causing the autism.
Oh, yeah,
you know, why don't you look at that?
They'll never let that secret out.
Good luck with that one.
That may be the key behind all the defunding everything.
What is this? This is just some grievance fest again with two of the most privileged women on earth who are really bitter against men.
And don't get it twisted. Michelle didn't get a free pass either. If Barack was the voice of the brand, Michelle was the full-blown PR machine. Marketing executive, creative director, and lifestyle influencer in one polished package. It wasn't enough that she turned kale into a national sentence. She did it while side-eyeing kids into choking down cafeteria quinoa, all while her own family feasted on multi-course gourmet spreads at glitzy state dinners. This is the same woman who gave a sermon on equity in heels that cost more than most Americans' weekly paychecks. But sure, Michelle, lecture us again about sacrifice.
so nice to have you both in the same room together.
I know, because when we aren't, folks think we're divorced.
These are the kinds of things
Yeah.
that I just miss,
Mhm.
right? So I don't
Yes.
even know this stuff's going on.
Right.
And then somebody will mention it to me, and I'm all like, what are
Yeah.
you talking about?
People think that they're on the outs because they're not always in the same room together, Maureen. That's what she would like people to believe. Like she had what, 1 or 2 public appearances without him, and that's what led to the divorce speculation. That's not quite it, my dear. It's what are the things? Oh, your words. It's your words.
How can someone be marketed as relatable while doing everything in his power to stay 3 gated communities away from the very people he claims to understand? Barack talks about the middle class like he read a Wikipedia entry once and called it research. Megyn shredded that condescending glow that clings to him like he's the human embodiment of a TEDx talk. Sleek, rehearsed, and oddly hollow once you start paying attention. He's the kind of guy who can speak for 15 minutes without saying anything and still get a standing ovation like he just discovered the cure for polio. But his record tells a very different story. Deportation numbers so high, they'd give his critics a panic attack. Global conflicts quietly igniting under his watch. Domestic division so deep, you could drive a motorcade right through the middle of it. Then came the money trail. Oh, that glorious post-presidency cash parade. Rogan laughed off the speaking fees like they were a punchline at a working-class roast. Hundreds of thousands per speech, just to deliver a polished, TED-style monologue about how it felt to be adored.
Instant affectation, like, oh, my man. And like she doubles down in the following clip. It's just over the top. And here it is, 37.
There hasn't been one moment in our marriage where I thought about quitting my man. And we've had some really hard times. So we have had a lot of fun times, a lot of adventures. And I have become a better person because of the man I'm married to.
There ain't been 1 minute when I thought about quitting my man. She doesn't talk like that, right? Who does she think she's kidding? It's quitting, like it has no T's or a G. My man. Okay, she's like, there's something going on there where she's really acting in order to be like down home and I love my man and trust me. And like the whole thing to me looked like a complete affectation.
Megyn poured gasoline on the fire by calling out the Obamas for cashing in on the very institutions they once claimed to side-eye. Wall Street, corporate media, publishing empires. That whole outsider shtick evaporated quicker than one of Obama's infamous red lines. And Michelle? Oh, she wasn't exempt from this economic roast. She's no longer just the former First Lady. She's a brand, a billion-dollar empire, a walking motivational quote draped in Lululemon. But while she's out here lecturing America on decency, Rogan reminded everyone their real superpower is the gold medal mental gymnastics required to preach humility while being chauffeured between luxury estates. Rogan cracked that they probably write their empathy speeches while interns fan them with Whole Foods bags. And Megyn closed it out with a hammer blow to the celebrity worship that trailed Obama from the Oval Office to the cover of every lifestyle magazine in existence. America didn't just elect a president, they anointed a pop culture demigod. But peel back the charisma, and what you find is a trail of policy failures, moral posturing, and a never-ending echo chamber of speeches that sounded profound and delivered very little. Obama was like the world's greatest life coach, all pep talks and inspiration, who somehow forgets you still need to pay the rent.
I know. And she's also out on David Geffen's yacht with Oprah. And then, her memoir was named Becoming. Look at me, becoming, with her big face on the front. Like, okay, she's a little drunk on her own wine, but not on Barack's, which is just interesting to me. At this point, after having been First Lady twice, thanks to him, let's face it, Michelle Obama was not some star in her own right. She was a lawyer, I think, at Sidley and Austin in Chicago.
And just when it felt like the roast was winding down, Rogan leaned in with even more heat, zeroing in on Obama's fixation with legacy. Because nothing screams authentic like obsessively editing your own Wikipedia page while pretending you're above caring what anyone thinks. Barack doesn't just want to be remembered fondly. He wants a Mount Rushmore cameo and a Ken Burns series narrated by Morgan Freeman. The man has spent more time curating his historical glow than most Americans spend brushing their teeth in a year. Rogan skewered it all with that signature deadpan disbelief, the kind that makes you laugh and wince at the same time. This is the guy who preached transparency for 2 terms, only to tiptoe out the back door while his administration clamped down on press freedom and bulked up the surveillance state. And yet somehow, the public still talks about him like he moonwalked on water just because he wore a tan suit and dropped Spotify playlists. Rogan wasn't buying it. He laughed at the contradiction like it was the punchline to a joke only the media still pretends is deep. Then, Megyn jumped back in, torch in hand, lighting up the performative politics that have clung to the Obamas like a production crew on a reality show. She dissected how Michelle carved out a throne as the queen of feel-good messaging, while carefully dodging anything politically messy or remotely controversial. Because preaching unity is a lot easier when you never step into the chaos. It's like bragging about staying spotless at a food fight, when the truth is, you never picked up a plate.
When is the last day, like when is it, when do they say you gotta have your bags packed, you gotta get out of here?
I don't know, I should find out. No, it's actually amazing because they literally move all your stuff out in one day. You are living there, and then suddenly it's not all out on the south lawn. I mean, they pack it up, but they will move it to wherever it is that you want to move it to. And so you're living in the White House up until Inauguration Day, and Inauguration Day you're out of there.
And when Michelle steps up to lecture Americans about decency, it lands like a royal decree. All polished poise, no self-awareness. Because somewhere along the way, she forgot that she and Barack spent 8 years grinning through the polite collapse of their own party at the state level. Megyn didn't miss a beat. She laid it out. Heartfelt speeches don't rebuild hollowed-out working-class towns. Glossy podcast cameos don't fix the broken inner-city schools they once promised to transform. Meanwhile, Rogan kept his foot on the gas, refusing to ignore the cultural blind spot America still has for Obama. The pedestal he stands on? Built not on policy wins, but on polish. It's the walk, the talk, the rhythm, that effortless delivery that makes even bad news sound like smooth jazz. But Rogan saw through the act. He called it what it is, PR sorcery, a designer label slapped on broken promises. The man could narrate a hurricane and still be applauded for the thunder. And here's the twist of the knife. It's Obama's own party still cleaning up the quiet wreckage he left behind. Division, disillusionment, a generation obsessed with vibes over vision. The political storm we're in didn't come out of thin air. It brewed over 8 years of poetic speeches, masking pragmatic compromises made behind closed doors. Rogan and Megyn weren't theorizing. They were pulling the curtain all the way back. And with every jab, the myth unraveled just a bit more. Not because they made anything up, but because they finally said out loud what half the country's been thinking every time another Obama special drops on a streaming service. The nostalgia tour, it's tired. The show's over.
More fuel on the fire that there's a potential, maybe a divorce or some sort of rockiness going on in the Obamas' relationship. They both posted these mirrored, very choreographed Valentine's Day messages on X, but he was just seen at an LA, the basketball team. What's it called? I can't remember the name. The Clippers, thank you. Game without her. And the LA Clippers. And then with Steve Ballmer, who's the owner, who he's been on this show. And then on Tuesday, he was spotted eating out at a fancy dinner in Sherman Oaks with his both daughters, Malia and Sasha, but again, no Michelle, according to TMZ. So
I think they seem to be soft launching their divorce.
And for all the fawning press coverage and sepia-toned retrospectives, Joe and Megyn drove home one brutal truth. The chaos we're living in didn't just spring out of Trump's tweets or Biden's faceplants. It was nurtured during the Obama years, lulled to life by charm, elegance, and perfectly scripted sound bites. You don't get to walk away from that like the cool substitute teacher who only showed up to press play on a documentary. When you sit in the big chair for 8 years, you own the record. Vibes don't get you a hall pass. Megyn reminded everyone that leadership isn't judged by how good you made people feel, but by what actually got done. And during Obama's tenure, plenty happened, just not always in front of the camera. It happened behind the curtains, behind the speeches, behind that million-dollar smile. Now, as he floats through the cultural landscape like a retired superhero trying to cash in on merch, Rogan and Megyn made something brutally clear. The myth is expired. Barack Obama might still silence a room with a glance and a perfectly timed pause, but the echo chamber is splintering. With Rogan's raw hammer swings and Megyn's precision strikes, the shine is fading fast. They didn't just poke holes in the image. They tore down the showroom, killed the mood lighting, and left the teleprompter coughing smoke.